we're going to need to cut some blocks of wood at the same height as the tailgate. We're going to use these in all four corners to set the tonneau cover on when we're ready to put the mounting brackets into place. So now you can get, if your bed is painted, you can get some tape in the areas where you're going to be working, just enough for where the mounting bracket is going to mount, as well as at the back here where the rear of the drip tray is going to be mounted. We'll give a quick demonstration of how the hinges mount to the frame on the tonneau cover. So in the hinge we have a nylon bushing that just slides in, lining up the holes. The pin also has a flat spot on it that you can slide this onto, and once it's on, then you can turn it into place. Once we've got the cover set on the wood blocks on the bed, the front hinges are installed at this point, and they're holding the front of the cover centered side to side. Moving to the back here, we've simply just used some cardboard to also center the back to match the front, so you have nice straight lines along the side of the bed. You're also going to check your lines at the front and the back as well to make sure that you're positioned in a good spot there. Here we have just a nice straight line right before the roll down to the back of the tailgate. And then up at the front, you should have a good, nice 1/4 inch gap along the front straight as well. So while the cover was in place on the blocks, you're going to have to get inside the bed and drill out the mounting holes through the bedside. So you're going to use a 1/4 inch bit. The two smaller holes are the mounting holes. The larger one here is a drain hole. We'll get to that later. But the two smaller holes are mounting holes. So as it was hanging on the tonneau cover, you swing the hinge into place to the front of the bed, and then you drill out these two mounting holes. So once we have the pilot holes drilled for the mounting bracket, we can remove the mounting bracket. We're going to drill these holes out to 25/64, which is the size we need for the 1/4 inch nutsert. So we do send along a nutsert tool that you can use. It usually comes with a nutsert on it, so you can see how it works. So once the nutsert is on, you lift the top off. You have a 7/16 wrench on there. We prefer to use a ratcheting wrench. Get that set in there, and you're going to crank on this nut, which is going to squeeze the nutsert inside the hole, holding it in place. As you're doing it, you want to make sure you're putting it in nice and straight, so keep a close eye on it. Now that we've got the nutserts installed, we can reinstall the mounting brackets with the stainless hardware provided. Now that we have the hinges reinstalled, we're going to check the fit of the cover. So again, insert your nylon bushing with the slots lining up. When we lift the cover up, we're going to keep it a little bit ahead of center and slide it down in. Before you swing the cover back, you really want to make sure that the pin is seated properly into the hinge, usually just by wiggling the cover back and forth a little bit. And as you're coming down, make sure it's in place, otherwise you'll spread your hinge. So at this point, you might notice a little bit that the cover might slightly sag in the center as there's nothing supporting it, but you'll see in some future steps that the drip tray that runs along the side, as well as the electric actuators, are in the center here and are going to be supporting the cover. Now that we've established the mounting location of our hinges, and we're happy with how the cover's sitting on the front and the back, we're going to move to installing the drip trays. We'll start with the front drip tray. The mounting hinges slide onto the end of the front drip tray, Now that we have the hinges back on the front drip tray, we've reinstalled it in the bed, and we're going to move to the side drip trays. So before you put the cover on, we're going to do a few other steps. So our side drip trays come longer than required. This gives you the ability to custom fit it exactly to your bed. So to start off, we're going to need to find the measurement that we're going to trim this to. So to take this measurement, we're going to start at the tailgate, and in this situation we don't have anything obstructing the rear of the drip tray, so we can keep it as close to the tailgate as possible, allowing minimal space for the water to get into the bed as opposed to into the drip tray. So we're going to get as close to the tailgate as possible. We've got a 1/8 spacer here that we're going to hold up against the tailgate, and that's what we're going to put our tape measure starting point at. So at the front, we're going to measure 1/4 of an inch ahead of the very rear of this front drip tray. So the drip tray is measuring 74 1/4. We're going to go another 1/4 inch to 74 1/2. That's going to be our initial cut on the side drip tray. So now we need to notch the front of the drip tray to go around the hinge. To do this, you're going to measure 3/16 of an inch back from the front, and then 3/16 of an inch from the mounting face into the inside as well. So this corner here, you're going to notch out, which is going to allow us to go in beside the hinge. Now you can see we've notched it. This is what it should look like. And when you sit it into place, this top lip will sit on the front drip tray, and the notch will go around the mounting hinge. And that's where it's going to sit. And the back is now 1/8 from the rear of the tailgate. Okay, now that we have both side drip trays trimmed to fit, we've installed the rubber along the top, and now to move to the next step, we're going to determine the exact mounting location. To do this, we need to reinstall the tonneau cover. So it's important to remember at the back of the drip tray that we're going to drill through the bedside here and install a nutsert to bolt the back of the drip tray on. In this case, we've had to notch around the striker plate for the tailgate latching system. So we're going to drill a hole here. It's important to make sure that that hole falls within the inside of the stake pocket so that it's not visible from the outside of the bed. So for the next step, we're going to mark where we want to mount the rear of the side drip tray. To do this, we push up tight against the tonneau cover. We need to check that we're happy with the height. We're using a piece of wood and some shims to get that correct height. So once you have that in place, then you can drill this hole or mark and drill it. Now that we have both sides drilled for the side drip tray, we drilled them out to 25/64 to accept a 1/4 inch nutsert. So we're going to go ahead and install these. So before we use the 3M two-sided tape to adhere these to the bedside, we are going to bolt the back of the drip tray in, as well as having the front set in its proper location. We're going to lower the cover and make sure that we're happy with our height at the front and the back, and then go from there. So after test fitting this side drip tray with the cover down, the front sitting on the front drip tray like it should, the rear bolted in, we were happy with the height all the way across. So we took it back out. We've cleaned the surface with rubbing alcohol, works great on aluminum to prepare your surface. We've adhered our 2-way tape, and now we can move back to the bed and get this taped in. So we find the best way to do this is to, at the front of the drip tray, you can start pulling away the tape, opening up about an inch or so, leaving that little lip hanging off out of the bottom, and always pull it towards the back of the bed. Don't pull straight down, it'll rip off. Always pull towards the back. So we got that ready. We're going to get this in there, in place. This will stick, but before we go all the way down, we want to get the back bolted in. Okay, so we've got the front of the side drip tray sitting on the front drip tray where we want it. We've kept it away from the bedside so far. We've got the rear bolted in. Now we've got our little tab here that we started peeling already, and we can carefully start pulling that out. Always pull towards the rear, don't pull down, it'll rip. Always pull towards the rear, nice and gently. And then we can start pushing it in. Now we've got the tape peeled out all the way along. We've put some pressure on here, got it sticking. We can now go ahead and tighten the back nut here. We left this loose because it helps to keep the tray away from the bed as you're peeling the back of the tape off. Now we can tighten it up. So now we're going to move to installing the electric lift actuators to the cover. So we pulled the cover off the truck again. We're going to mark our location for the actuators. Now we're going to give you suggested locations here based on your standard or a stock bed. If you have a raised floor, if you have wheel tubs, anything else that might obstruct the lift actuator, then you might have to take some measurements and make some changes. But this is a standard measurements. So measuring from the front of the frame back, you could mark your first hole at 18.5, your second one at 20. Center those on the tubing. Your punch, start your holes, drill them out using a 1/4 bit, and then drill them out to 3/8. Then you can go ahead and install your nut certs, and you're ready to install the brackets. So the brackets come as a 2-piece bracket. You see the one has a bit of a longer slot in it, and the top one has a square. You set this one on top, like that, and then you bolt them on together. So we've got the cover back on, we've got our brackets mounted on the cover, we have the other bracket mounted on the other end of the actuator. We're going to install this on the cover. Now that we're mounted, we're going to find the location that we're going to mount this to the wood. So to do that, we're going to lower the cover. The actuator is compressed to the shortest point that it can be, so this will be the bottom when the cover is completely lowered. So as we bring the cover down, you might want to put some pressure on the cover up a little bit to get a good line up top, and once you know the location, then you can mark these holes, drill them into your wood, and that's where you're going to mount the bottom of your cylinder.